chosen soul. They switched your family. You were born into one family but belonged to another. Born into a biological family, but designed for a spiritual family. Born among blood relatives, but destined for soul connections that would eventually replace what biology gave you with what spirit chose for you. They switched your family. The universe did. Divine intelligence did. Cosmic order did. Taking you from the family you were born into and giving you the family you were meant for. This switch happened gradually, naturally, and inevitably as you evolved, transformed, became who you actually are, and found those who actually belong with you. You always felt different in your biological family, like you didn't quite fit, didn't quite belong, and didn't quite match their energy, their values, their worldview, their priorities, or their consciousness. You tried to fit in, to belong, to match them, but it never worked. It never felt right and never made sense because you weren't supposed to fit. You weren't designed to belong, and you weren't meant to match the family you were born into. You were placed there temporarily for specific lessons, for particular growth, and for designated development, but not permanently, not forever, not as your actual, eternal, spiritual family. The switch started when you began questioning everything they believed, everything they valued, and everything they taught you as absolute, as unquestionable, and as obviously true. You started seeing differently, thinking differently, and believing differently than them, and they didn't understand, didn't approve, and didn't accept your different perspective, your alternative views, or your divergent beliefs. This was the beginning of the switch, the beginning of separation, and the beginning of finding your actual family beyond biology, beyond blood, and beyond birth. They switched your family when you started attracting different people, different connections, and different relationships than your biological family expected, approved of, or understood. These were people who resonated with your energy, aligned with your values, and shared your consciousness. These weren't people from your neighborhood, your school, your church, or your expected social circle. These were people from different backgrounds, different paths, and different journeys who somehow found you, recognized you, and connected with you at a soul level, at a spirit level, and at an essence level that transcends all surface differences. Your biological family didn't understand these connections, these friendships, or these relationships. They questioned your choices, criticized your friends, and worried about your associations with people so different from them, from their values, and from their worldview. But you felt more at home with these strangers than with blood relatives. You felt more understood by these outsiders than by family members, and you felt more yourself with these new connections than with old relations. This was the switch happening, your real family emerging, your true tribe forming. They switched your family when you found people who celebrated you, not tolerated you, who championed you, not criticized you, who understood you, not judged you for being exactly who you are. Your biological family loved you, yes, but often with conditions, with expectations, and with requirements that you be different, be better, or be more like them. Your spiritual family loves you unconditionally, without expectations and without requirements for being anything other than exactly who you actually are. The switch happened when you realized biology doesn't guarantee understanding, blood doesn't ensure connection, and a family name doesn't create belonging. You learned that family is chosen, not given, is earned, not inherited, and is created, not assumed, through shared values, mutual support, genuine understanding, and authentic connection. Some biological families have this, but many don't. And when they don't, the universe provides an alternative, a spiritual family, a soul tribe, a chosen family that gives what biology couldn't, what blood didn't, and what birth failed to provide. They switched your family when you started spending holidays differently, creating traditions differently, and defining family differently than your biological family expected, demanded, or required. You stopped forcing yourself into gatherings that drained you, into celebrations that exhausted you, and into traditions that felt empty, meaningless, or obligatory. You started creating your own gatherings, your own celebrations, and your own traditions with people who energize you, who fulfill you, and who make celebrations actually feel like celebrations, not obligations, duties, or requirements to endure. Your new family gets your journey, your transformation, and your evolution in ways your biological family never could, never would, and never will, because they haven't walked this path, haven't experienced this transformation, and haven't undergone this evolution. Your spiritual family has. They recognize your journey because it's their journey. They understand your transformation because it's their transformation. They celebrate your evolution because it's their evolution, too. This shared experience, this common journey, and this collective transformation creates a bond stronger than blood, deeper than biology, and more real than your birth family ever was. They switched your family when you found people who speak your language, not English, not Spanish, not any spoken language, but a soul language, a spirit language, a truth language that transcends words, transcends culture, and transcends everything on the surface. It communicates at a level so deep, so profound, and so real that you can say one sentence, and they understand the entire story. You can share one experience, and they know the whole journey. You can express one feeling, and they feel the complete context. This understanding, this knowing, and this recognition is family, real family, true family, actual family. The switch completed when you stopped apologizing for who you are, for what you believe, and for how you live to a biological family who never really accepted, never fully understood, and never completely supported the real you. You stopped shrinking to fit their boxes, stopped performing to meet their expectations, and stopped pretending to be someone you're not for their comfort, for their approval, or for their acceptance, and you started being fully, completely, and unapologetically yourself with your real family who accepts, understands, and supports exactly who you are. They switched your family when you realized you can't force connection, can't manufacture belonging, and can't create understanding with people who aren't meant for you. Even if they're related by blood, even if they're connected by birth, and even if they're linked by biology. Some people are in your life for seasons, for lessons, and for purposes that don't include a lifetime connection, permanent belonging, or eternal family. And that's okay, that's normal. That's how it's supposed to be for those called to find their real family beyond biology. Your spiritual family holds space for your complexity, your contradictions, your evolution, and your becoming without requiring you to be simple. Be consistent, or be finished becoming. They understand you're a work in progress. They accept that you're constantly changing, and they celebrate that you're continuously evolving into more of who you actually are. Your biological family often wants you fixed, stable, and the same as you've always been. Your spiritual family embraces your fluidity, your growth, and your transformation as a natural, beautiful, and necessary part of your journey. They switched your family when you found people who don't just love you, they see you, they know you, and they recognize you at a soul level. They remember you from before this lifetime, from beyond this dimension, and from other connections, other lives, and other realms where you've known each other before. This recognition, this remembering, and this knowing creates an instant connection, immediate trust, and natural belonging that biology promises but often fails to deliver. What spirit provides, what soul creates, and what the divine orchestrates. The switch happened when you stopped feeling guilty for outgrowing your biological family, for evolving beyond them, and for becoming someone they don't recognize, don't understand, and don't relate to anymore. You realized growth isn't betrayal, evolution isn't abandonment, and transformation isn't a rejection of them. It's an affirmation of you. It's honoring your calling, and it's following your path, even when that path leads away from them, even when your calling requires separation from them, and even when growth means distance from them. They switched your family when you found people who match your frequency, your vibration, and your energy. People who don't drain you, don't exhaust you, and don't deplete you, but energize you, uplift you, and inspire you simply by being around them. Your biological family often depletes your energy, drains your spirit, and exhausts your soul, not intentionally, not maliciously, but simply through a mismatch of frequency, of vibration, and of energy that creates friction, discord, and depletion. Your spiritual family matches your frequency, harmonizes with your vibration, and resonates at your energy, creating ease, creating flow, and creating a multiplication of what you have and who you are. The switch completed when you realized your spiritual family is your real family. Not a replacement for your biological family, not a substitute for blood relations, but an actual, real, true family that the divine assigned, that the cosmic selected, and that the universal designated for your journey, for your growth, and for your destiny. Biology was random, spirit is intentional. Blood was an accident, soul is a design. Your birth family was a circumstance, your chosen family is a calling. Understanding this, accepting this, and embracing this completes the switch from the family you were born into to the family you were born for. They switched your family when you found people who challenge you to grow, who push you to evolve, and who inspire you to become more of who you actually are. Not through criticism, but through example. Not through judgment, but through demonstration. Not through pressure, but through inspiration. Your biological family often wants you to stay the same, stay safe, stay small, and stay who you've always been. Your spiritual family encourages your expansion, celebrates your evolution, and champions your growth into more of who you're becoming and who you're meant to be. The switch happened when you realized you don't owe your biological family your life, your choices, or your path simply because they're related by blood. You can love them from a distance, honor them through boundaries, and respect them while disagreeing. You don't have to sacrifice your calling, your purpose, or your destiny to maintain a relationship with people who don't support, don't understand, and don't celebrate who you actually are, what you're actually called to, and where you're actually going, even if those people are family by birth. They switched your family when you found people who pray for you. They don't pray you'll change, return to who you were, or conform to their expectations. They pray for your success, your fulfillment, and your alignment with your highest calling, your deepest purpose, and your truest destiny. They celebrate your wins, they mourn your losses, and they support your journey. Not the journey they want for you, but the journey you're actually on. This support, this prayer, and this celebration is family. Real family. True family. Chosen soul, they switched your family. And it's one of the greatest gifts the universe could give you. Because the family you were born into couldn't provide what you actually need, couldn't give what you actually require, and couldn't be what you actually deserve. Not because they're bad, but because they're not your people, not your tribe, and not your actual family. Your spiritual family is. They understand your journey, they celebrate your growth, they support your calling, and they honor your path. They see your truth, they know your soul, and they recognize your essence. They match your frequency, they speak your language, they share your values, they walk your path, and they live your truth. They are your people, your tribe, and your family, not by blood, but by spirit, not by birth, but by choice, not by biology, but by soul. The switch is complete. The family is found. The tribe is gathered. The people are here. Your real family, your true tribe, your chosen people who were always meant to be your family now are, finally, actually, really your family. They switched your family from what biology gave to what spirit chose, from who birth assigned to who soul selected, and from a family of blood to a family of spirit. And this switch, this change, this transformation from biological to spiritual, from birth to chosen, and from given to earned family is one of the most beautiful, most powerful, and most transformative experiences of an awakened soul's journey. They switched your family. Thank them for it. The switch happened when you stopped forcing conversations, forcing connections, and forcing relationships with a biological family who didn't want to know the real you, who didn't care to understand the actual you, and who didn't try to see the true you. You stopped explaining your choices, defending your path, and justifying your life to people who weren't going to understand anyway, who weren't going to support you regardless, and who weren't going to celebrate you no matter what you said, what you did, or what you became. You released the burden of making them understand, approve, and accept what they weren't equipped to understand, weren't willing to approve, and weren't capable of accepting. They switched your family when you found people who are genuinely happy for your success, not threatened by it, not jealous of it, and not resentful of it. People who celebrate when you win, who encourage when you try, and who support when you risk, without hidden agendas, secret resentment, or buried competition. Your biological family sometimes, often, or usually feels threatened by your success, jealous of your growth, and resentful of your transformation. Not because they don't love you, but because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. Your growth highlights their limitation, and your transformation exposes their fear. Your spiritual family has no such issues, no such limitations, and no such fear. The switch happened when you realized blood relatives don't have automatic access to you, to your energy, to your time, to your life, or to your peace just because you share DNA, a last name, or a history. Access is earned, not given, is maintained through respect, not assumed through relation, and is kept through reciprocity, not demanded through biology. Your spiritual family earns your access, maintains your trust, and keeps your connection through consistent love, genuine support, and authentic understanding that biology promised but didn't deliver. They switched your family when you found people who don't need you to be perfect, to be healed, or to be finished with your journey, your process, and your transformation. They love you in your mess, in your struggle, and in your becoming without requiring you to have it all together, all figured out, or all completed. Your biological family often needs you perfect, healed, and successful before they can fully accept you, approve of you, or celebrate you. Your spiritual family accepts you, approves of you, and celebrates you exactly as you are right now, in this moment, messy, imperfect, and becoming. The switch happened when you stopped explaining your spiritual journey, your consciousness evolution, and your awakening process to a biological family who thinks you're crazy, who believes you're lost, and who worries you're deceived. You stop trying to convert them, convince them, or make them see what you see, feel what you feel, and know what you know. You accepted that they're on a different path, a different journey, and a different consciousness level. And that's okay. That's allowed. That's how it's supposed to be. Not everyone is meant to walk your path, to understand your journey, or to share your consciousness, including, and sometimes especially, family by blood. They switched your family when you found people who mirror your best self back to you. Not your worst self, not your past self, and not your limited self, but your highest self, your truest self, and your most authentic self. They see who you're becoming, not who you've been. They recognize your potential, not your mistakes. They reflect your light, not your shadow, though they accept both. Your biological family often mirrors your past, your mistakes, and your limitations back to you, keeping you stuck in an old identity, old patterns, and an old version of yourself that you've outgrown, transformed, and transcended. The switch happened when you realized your spiritual family protects your peace, honors your boundaries, and respects your needs without guilt, manipulation, or pressure to sacrifice your well-being for their comfort, their expectations, or their demands. They understand your peace is sacred, your boundaries are necessary, and your needs are valid, and they never ask you to compromise them to maintain the relationship. Your biological family often requires you to sacrifice your peace, violate your boundaries, and ignore your needs to keep family peace, maintain family unity, and preserve family harmony at the cost of your own. They switched your family when you found people who don't need you to shrink, dim your light, or play small so they can feel better about themselves, their own choices, and their own limitations. They celebrate your expansion, your brightness, and your bigness without feeling threatened, inadequate, or challenged by your growth, success, and transformation. Your biological family often needs you small, dim, and limited so they don't have to confront their own limitations, their own fears, and their own unlived lives through comparison with yours. The switch happened when you stopped waiting for your biological family to change, to evolve, to understand, and to accept you. You realize they might never change, never evolve, never understand, and never accept who you've become, what you believe, and how you live. And you had to choose between waiting for their acceptance or living your truth, between seeking their approval or following your calling, between maintaining their comfort or honoring your authenticity. You chose truth, calling, and authenticity over their acceptance, approval, and comfort. And in choosing yourself, you found a real family who already accepted you, already approved, and already celebrated exactly who you are. They switched your family when you found people who understand your sensitivity is not weakness, your empathy is not naivety, and your kindness is not foolishness. They recognize your sensitivity as a strength, your empathy as power, and your kindness as wisdom that sees what others miss, feels what others ignore, and knows what others deny. Your biological family often sees your sensitivity as a weakness to overcome, your empathy as naivety to outgrow, and your kindness as foolishness to abandon. They want you harder, tougher, and more guarded against the world. Your spiritual family celebrates your softness, your openness, and your heart as gifts, not flaws. Chosen soul. They switched your family from obligation to choice, from duty to love, from requirement to resonance, and from biology to soul. This switch isn't a rejection of your blood family, it's the recognition of your soul family. It isn't an abandonment of birth relations, it's the discovery of spirit connections. It isn't a betrayal of biological ties. It's the honoring of spiritual bonds that matter more, run deeper, and last longer than anything biology could create, maintain, or provide. Your biological family gave you life. Your spiritual family gives you a reason to live that life fully, authentically, and powerfully. Your biological family raised you. Your spiritual family sees you, knows you, and celebrates you as you actually are. Your biological family will always be family by blood. Your spiritual family will always be family by soul. Both can coexist when your biological family also becomes your spiritual family. But when they don't, when they can't, and when they won't, the universe provides an alternative, a chosen family, a soul tribe, and a spiritual family that gives what biology couldn't, what blood didn't, and what birth failed to provide. They switched your family from who you were given to who you were meant for. And this switch, this gift, and this grace is one of the universe's greatest blessings to an awakened soul. Thank the universe for switching your family from people you shared DNA with to people you share destiny with, from people you were born to people you were born for, and from a biological accident to a spiritual intention. Your real family is here, finally, actually, really, here.